Hey, welcome to everyone today. Hopefully we'll have a few people here later on, but mainly it looks like just us for now. So today we have three great brewers. We have DOK Brewing, we have Browar Stu Mostów, and we have Sakiškės from Lithuania. So that's from Belgium, Poland, and Lithuania, respectively. So basically, we're just going to try and have a chat, see what we can come up with, and see what comes out, taste a few beers, and just discuss things. So thanks first of all for coming along today. I know there's football. I don't know, football is, depending on what country you're in and what matches on, can be of various importance. Unfortunately, Ireland aren't taking part, so I don't have as much interest anymore. But I know Belgium. Is Poland in it as well?
Poland is there.
Poland's there.
With Spain, with Sweden, and someone else. Yeah.
And Belgium obviously are one of the favourites. But Lithuania, I think, is back still hasn't got a team either. You're back with us.
I'm not sure because I'm not the football guy. So sorry, I cannot comment about this event.
I think what I learned is no one in Lithuania really is into it. It's all basketball. So that's
yeah, we walk strong
myself to the terrace because there's too much noise here. I can't hear you. I'll put myself on another spot.
Perfect. Okay, so rejoin us in a second. Okay, so look, just while we're waiting there, so what I was kind of interested in talking today was just how you managed to kind of innovate and what you do with beers, because you've all got some very interesting stuff, and what at least even come from. One second, I think. Let me just. I'll bring everyone back up on here as well, so that we're all equal rather than just me. 1 second, this thing doesn't. There we go, and there we go. Okay, so we're set up. So yeah, I was just wondering, like, you're all innovative and you all do different things, but at least two countries, Belgium and, as I recently learned, Lithuania have a very strong local brewing tradition as well. But does Poland have much of, like, what was the situation in Poland? Did it become just covered in Carlsberg, Heineken, or did it maintain any brewing tradition? Well, when you started, what did you have to do, or?
Good question. Actually, yeah, we are almost 7 years old. So when we started back in 2014, many breweries that used to be flourishing disappeared. And like you mentioned, it was getting under control of the three main brewing groups. So we had a challenge. We had a challenge of just coming up as a young small brewery, but also a challenge to educate people to show the difference between us and then the big brewers. So it was kind of fun, but like I said, it was a challenge. So yeah, we started as one of the first craft breweries in Poland, and now the scene is completely different. We have almost 400 breweries at this point, from very tiny ones through medium size, and of course through the big ones. And Wrocław, which is the southwestern part of Poland, has long-standing brewing traditions. So we're trying to connect with that as well. We try to come up with beer styles that used to be brewed here that disappeared, such as Shubs, which Benyat can talk more about in the near future, and also introduce sort of the new trends of craft brewing, such as New England IPAs, pastry sours, which are loved recently. So yeah, it's been an interesting ride for us.
Right. So yeah, I didn't realize there were so many breweries there now. 400's a fair number.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that we're almost 40 million people country. So depending on comparing per capita, it's a decent number, but still we think there is a big potential for growth in the future.
Right.
We have for 5 minutes, so now maybe it's for 150.
Yeah.
Because maybe in the last 5 minutes, like 50 new were opening.
So what are you doing then? You focus, like I saw, yeah. So you've got kind of, you see yourself as having two things. You have to kind of preserve traditions, but you're also then trying to bring in and educate what's happening. So how do you split that, or how do you decide on the brewing time, or what you do between those?
I mean, we try to find a balance for everything. Like, obviously, like trends nowadays, they are like moving really fast. This means that whatever is hot in the US or anywhere else in Europe, yesterday is going to be hot here tomorrow. So with, IPA, HIPA are still king, like as Greg says, all these kind of pastry sours and so on. But we still like try to move in a line between like being innovative and doing new things and experiment and be trendy, but like having also another leg in tradition, no, and like brewing out of like a Czech and German style lagers, brewing like out of like classic like styles as soups, of Weizen. So yeah, we try to have like one leg in
Right.
in every side, but it's not always easy. Obviously, like we sometimes like fall more in one side, sometimes we fall more in the other, but we try to find the balance between the both worlds, no?
Right.
And you want about nowadays that you don't have to choose. Basically, you can do everything, and there is enough people out there that they will drink it and they will enjoy it. So it's amazing. It's a good time to be a brewer.
Yeah. Do actually, I suppose we better not wait. Do you want to open a beer there, or what one would you, out of yours, would you prefer to?
I don't know. Do we start with our beers, or what should we try first?
Since we're talking to you, we might as well, I suppose, and we'll see, and then we'll move around. And
okay. I just finished brewing, so I'm like really thirsty. I will go with something that is like low alcohol, is easy drinking, and I guess you guys have also some bottles of table beer there, beer table.
Do you have that there?
If you guys want to start with this one, I will be happy we start with this one.
Okay. So how do you like the saison then? We can bring in Janos there, because like saisons are obviously, it's the Belgian tradition again.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to saisons, it's I have a huge passion for farmhouse ales or saisons or whatever. It's of course it's a unique Belgian style, but yeah, we brew all over the globe saisons nowadays. But as a Belgian brewer, it's really a style we need to embrace here in Belgium, because we know the traditional classical saisons, but there's such a wide variety of possibilities you can, which can happen if you brew a saison. So. But I would really like to try with you, but I already opened up another beer. I didn't know there was an order of drinking beers. So,
all right. Well, this one you brewed this in a collaboration, did you?
Yeah, that's it. That's a collab with Little Earth from the UK. I don't know where I saw them. I think they're somewhere northeast of the UK.
Is it Little Earth completely mixed fermentation brewery?
That's it. They are focusing like 100% like mixed fermentation.
Yeah.
You go. They were bringing us the yeast culture, basically mixed fermentation culture. They harvest apples. They have like a fruit farm over there, so they were like harvesting some yeast apples, and that's like primary fermented with one of our favorite saison strains from Belgium. Well, actually not from Belgium, from France. Sorry about that. From the north of France, yeah. And then it's like co-fermented and secondary in barrels with our house blend of yeast and bacteria and the house blend of isobacteria of like Little Earth. And then like around 6 months in barrels, and it was bottle condition.
How was your house blend created?
Sorry?
How was your house blend created?
basically by going, we started like getting pitches from different labs. We work with different labs like white labs, experiments, and white yeast, and we have like repeated all these. So we were like pitching and pitching and pitching. Basically, we were like emptying barrels, filling them again with fresh board without filling them, so everything is still alive. So in the end, like when we opened our lab, we were able to isolate what we wanted from this blend. So yeah, nowadays it's like a lot of things going on going on in this blend, but we always use like primary like 2 strains of saison, and afterwards in the barrel room we go, or in the fooder now we go with our blend of everything that is going on in there.
Yeah, and we have a dedicated room, so we created sort of like a dedicated microclimate to propagate the bacteria they use. So yeah, I mean, and we're hoping to grow it in the near future as well into different products.
Is there much of a market in Poland for wild mixed fermentations, or no?
No, we are like I think we are the first brewery doing
pioneer,
doing something similar to this. Sales wise, we see that, I mean, we make out of like fruit beers, like fruit saisons, like fruit mixed fermentation beers, because Poland is one of the major exporters when it comes to fruit in Europe. So everything that is cherry, raspberries, like stone fruits, just like apricots or peaches, like many of them they come from Poland. Even in breweries like like Cantillon, Driefonteinen, Tilken, they are using Polish fruit many times. So yeah, we are like like around the brewery we can choose to use like so many fruits that they are like local. Basically, we just can drive like in the day that the fruit is harvested, we can pick it up and process it by hand and use it. So yeah, like it's not something really big still, but I think it will grow. I mean, anyways, like this is something that we don't make a living off. Like what is paying our bills is always the clean brewery. It's something we do more for fun. Like I think the first year of this project, basically, I was doing 80% of the things on weekends. Like we had to like brew what we had to brew. That is like lagers and IPAs and high beers, and then this was something more of a project coming from passion and just to see what happens. It was fun. We have all the tools to make it. We have all this beautiful fruit around, like when it comes to as we said, like forever cherries, raspberries, grapes. So yeah, it was just fun. It was something that started as a let's see what happens if we try, and we like it. The results were good. The people was liking it. It's selling relatively well, so we just keep doing it. It's just like something we do more for passion or for because we want to do it than the sales. In the end of the day.
Yeah, we had some people. We had Land and Labour around there a few weeks ago, and what he said, like he's also the head brewer in Galway Bay, and he says like he does. So Galway Bay is all very scientific, very much measuring, and he just does the wild stuff then just as kind of release for himself as something that's just
something completely different. Yeah, it's like a different world. I mean, you can still like bring many things that you use in the clean brewery or in the lab, like to measure many things. But in the end of the day, when it comes to releasing a new beer, it's like just like blending. And blending, I like to blend like normally we blend in a small group. We just like pull some nails from different barrels and like try different combinations and see what we like more. See if this beer is like lacking of acidity or it needs like a bit more of like a fresher, younger beer. So in the end, it's what they were telling you. It's like it's part of the science we use in the big brewery, but also it comes to a lot from tasting. Like blending by tasting.
So it's more, it's more like using the ingredients to mold something rather than starting off with a vision of and then trying to make that, find the ingredients to make it happen.
Like we don't brew anymore like a beer, like like in the clean brewery you are moving like batch number. I was brewing the batch number 130 something, 38 today, and this is like batch number 138 is batch number 138 from the beginning, from the brew house to the packaging. when it comes to the wild beers or to the mixed fermentation beers is I don't brew like full batches anymore. I just like we have like a couple of bases. I brew this base, and then we have a bigger and bigger library of like fooders and barrels every day, and then it just comes to blending. So you can brew like this base, but then you are going to create from these big parts, you are going to create something smaller, like just by blending the parts. And then every barrel is a different world. So it can be the same batch in two different barrels. It can be more acidity, less acidity, like a bit sweeter, like a bit more tannins. So it's like every barrel is a different world.
Linus, do you do a lot of that? I know when you started, you had a lot of I don't know if you do much wild fermentation or mixed fermentation there, or if there's a demand for it in Lithuania.
At the moment, we are not doing wild fermentation because we were located in a very, very small brewery plant, mixed dangerous, but at the moment, recently we have moved to other facilities to, I don't know if you see something next to me, but we are in a new location. So at the moment we have like a two brewery. So I hope. Seems we've lost connection, but do you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yeah, it comes and goes a bit. It breaks up a little bit.
The problem is that we are located in concrete, like a building and quite low.
Right. Yeah. No signal. Yeah, I think it's coming and going. Maybe we.
You guys facing the same problems because I hear you like every once in a while, but
yeah, we're just saying Linus he has a bad signal, so he's
no wild fermentation in our brewery.
okay. Maybe we'll get a bit better, Linus, if we, being rude, if we just turn off your video, it might be able to be enough to just hear you then. If that works any better. No, wrong person turned off the video. So this is turning into an exciting day.
But the thing is, I also can't hear you, so I put off my video and now I hear you better. So.
Okay. If you can hear us better, then that's fine. No, I think it's Linus has the signal. We could see you fine, and we could be fine.
I can try it again.
Okay. Yeah, we can see you now. No problem. Your picture's fine. So yeah, it's just that you're in a noisy place. We're all over the place today.
So cheers.
It's one of those days. So look, let's just say. So, did any of you get a chance to try this beer that we just opened? Because it's a very nice beer, I have to say.
Yeah, we like it a lot, so we would love to hear some of your opinions.
You're on mute.
I can get the bottle. I open up another beer. Otherwise, I'm drinking 2 beers at once. But I'll get the bottle and another glass.
But so yeah, so let's go back. I had some questions, about blending. You've answered those. Are you doing most of your stuff there? Are you exporting, or is it the market now big enough? I suppose if it's 450 breweries, there's a big enough market in Poland now to. But you do a lot of export. I mean, I see you around a lot.
Thanks for saying that, because we keep pushing our beers outside of Poland, so it's nice to hear that you see them here and there. But generally speaking, about 70% of our production stays in Poland.
Okay.
Big part of that actually stays within our city limits. So Wrocław, which has about 700,000 people living in it, is a big beer city. I mean, there's a lot of students, big universities, many events happening all year long, and people in Wrocław, generally speaking, like drinking beer. So the local market is our biggest market. But we also try to export. We export to about 25 countries on a fairly regular basis. We send quite a bit of beers to Ireland as well. So happy to hear that here and there. So that's basically it. I mean, our main business model is sort of around the chimney, as we like to say. So delivering beers to customers within the city limits. But we try to diversify, especially within these crazy times as we've had over the last 12, 15 months. We need to think sort of outside the box and try to diversify the business a bit to make sure that we have stable growth and we don't end up drinking all the beer that we brew, although we like beer.
Your own best customers.
Yeah.
So Yannis, did you open it there? Did you get a chance? Because you also sent a very nice saison.
Yeah, that's right. I tried it. It's a completely different beer than the one I sent. I really love it. It's really thirst quenching, aesthetic, like perfect summer farmhouse ale.
Yeah. Would it pass as Belgian saison, or is there a difference between?
I think you can't call it Belgian saison. It's probably pretty close to what saisons used to be in Belgium, but the Belgian saison nowadays, it's very clean, phenolic, but nonetheless very drinkable beer. But like the wild saisons we know, the spontaneous saisons we know from back in the days, also the low ABV saisons, like the 3 to 4% ABV saisons, we don't brew them anymore in Belgium. They're more brewed outside of Belgium than in Belgium. Well, of course, there's a few breweries who still make saisons in our country. But I think like every American or every farmhouse ale enthusiast which arrives in Belgium will be hugely disappointed about the variety of wild farmhouse ales, because we don't have a tradition of that anymore. It's completely vanished.
Okay. Yeah, so I suppose that's I mean, Belgium, obviously, you tend to think Belgium, and it's got one of the few countries that has its own brewing tradition.
Right. I think that's a serious misconception. Well, I think Belgians believe they have we really have a huge, beautiful beer culture. I think if you see what happened the past years globally, we still have a beautiful culture and we have a traditional culture. But when it comes to innovation, it's we're getting there. But like everything with Belgians, give us some time.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, is there the fact that it has this tradition? Is it kind of holding everything back? It's very conservative, because it seems people will not change. They want the triple, they want the double, and that's it. And
yeah, that's the thing with us. Like in the tap room, when we open up the tap room, my first idea was never to brew a triple. But then again, you have this Belgian crowd who comes in, and I think still 65% of the people coming in, they're asking for a Belgian blonde or a triple. So in the beginning, so we always have 10 to 15 beers from ourselves, from our brewery on tap, and we have 10 to 15 beers from other breweries from all over the world, or Belgian breweries, which are also on tap. And what did we see? That we were selling a lot of triple from other breweries. So like after a couple of months, we finally decided to start making our own triple. It wasn't our first intention to start making those kinds of beers, but yeah, there's romanticism is an important factor, but I think you're still a company, and it's silly not to try to make your best possible version of a triple. So that's what we do nowadays. But nonetheless, it's not our most preferable style to brew. But we listen to our customers, and we don't want to be beer snobs. We don't want to say to our customers that they aren't right. If they want to drink a triple, there's nothing wrong with drinking a triple. But that's a huge thing in the Belgian market, is that we have a lot of people, a lot of Belgians who claim to be beer connoisseurs, who claim to be people who know a lot about beer. But I think the foreign customer, the foreign consumer, and new generation craft beer countries, they're way better educated than in Belgium. But I think now with like breweries like us, and like you have a lot of different examples in Belgium. You have, of course, you have a De La Seine, you have a BBP, you have and so on and so on. They, like step by step, we're pushing the market into another direction. And I think there's already a big craft beer crowd who's ready for the change in the market. But the traditional drinkers, who can blame the Belgians, of course? We've been drinking the same beers for centuries. So like all of a sudden the world changes, and why should we as Belgian breweries change? That was the whole conception with the last generation of brewers. They said like, yeah, and all across the globe they're brewing beers, but they're trying to replicate us. I think nowadays Belgians are trying to replicate what's going on outside of Belgium than inside of Belgium. But we're getting there.
Yeah, well, but it's interesting because like, that you're saying like the saisons and even the lambics were dying out, but they seem to be making a comeback. There's a real interest in saison.
But now I think finally I've always been a big fan of wild saisons. I have a background at the Brewery, and I wasn't head of the barrel department there. I was actually barrel manager, and there my love for wild saisons grew. But like the saisons we brewed there, all the wild saisons, they were almost none of them were available on the Belgian market. There was really no demand for it. Nowadays, we see if you make a wild saison, like we just released two, I sent bottles of one, which was Britney Spears, and Britney Spears was basically a blend between a saison of ours and another beautiful product from Belgium, lambic. So basically, it was lambic, 1-year-old lambic from the Trok, which we blended with a saison of ours, and then we just let it ferment spontaneously on the bottle. We also have a separate batch that we did on wine barrels, and we're going to age it for another year, and we're going to release that in 1 year. And we also brought out another wild saison, which is called Amy Farmhouse, and Amy Farmhouse is basically first lactobacillus fermented in the tank, so lactic acid bacteria fermentation in the tank, and now we pitched it with a Fantôme yeast, so with a iconical Belgian saison brewery, and then part of it we bottled as a clean version. Well, most of it clean, like a little acidic note, but the rest of it was a clean beer. And then the rest of the beer we put into barrels, and we pitched it with a Victoria of different Brettanomyces strains. So we had 7 or 8 different Brettanomyces strains, just to display the beauty of Brettanomyces, because we all know horseback, we all know the funk Brettanomyces, like the Brettanomyces bruxellensis and the Lambicus creates, but like the beautiful florality and fruitiness from a big variety of Brettanomyces strains is something that we most of us really don't know, and that's so that's the saison which I'm also really proud of. Actually, it came out beautifully.
Yeah. Did you try that during the week, or do you still have it there?
What?
No, I'm just asking the others if they tried that one yet, the Britney Spears.
No, we have it here.
Perfect. So that's the lambic blend. That's a clean saison of ours blended with lambic.
What did you try it?
Like I said, it's the blending seems to be, that's what's fascinating me recently, talking to everyone. Blending seems to be so underrated. Now everybody's kind of beginning to realize what a difference it can make.
But it's a different matrix to work in. If you normally, like in the beginning when we started with DOK, and I think every brewery or brew prop all across the world, they're first trying to make as clean beer as possible to show you can work in a clean, disciplined, tidy way. But I think when it comes to romanticism and possibilities, wild beers or oak-aged beers, barrel-aged beers, they're fantastic to work with, because then you have all different vessels, and the guys from Browar Stu Mostów already told it, like you try every different barrel, and every barrel tastes a little bit different. So every barrel you taste get a certain characteristic, and then you put it in your head, like, okay, this is like super acidic, or this is really soft, or you get some more tannins or whatever. And if you keep all those barrels in mind, you can have like all those different colors to paint with. And yeah, the more colors you have, the more bigger the painting can be.
Definitely, you can't really get the lambic.
Yeah, nonetheless.
Go for it.
Yeah, sorry, but nonetheless, it's very young lambic, so it's 1 year old. So we decided to bottle it this young, but we also believe that it's going to be like a huge evolution on the bottle, and also we have some in the barrels here to age a little bit further on white wine barrels, and then eventually, probably in a year, we'll bottle it.
Nice. Something like beer decoupage, no? But it's like maybe a younger saison, you know, like when you have like an older saison and you blend it out with a really nice. I mean, you really get the trough character, I think, of lambic. This kind of funkiness you get from fermentation, you know. There is like compare like with lambic. You really have like like one more layer that you don't have in mixed fermentation saison. You really can get it there. That's really nice.
Terry, I muted you there because there's so much noise in your background. It's a bit hard sometimes to hear the others.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to living as a Belgian brewer, to live in Belgium. We can get lambic if you want, and like you said, it's a beautiful layer on top of other stuff you do, and it's just like you can't compare lambic to any other beer. Well, of course, nowadays you have beautiful examples of lambic similar to lambic styles in the UK or in the US or whatever. But yeah, it's something different. It's a completely different kind of beer, lambic.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning to make any lambic, something like this, or you don't have plans for that?
At the moment, no. But what we have is we also have our house culture, and I firmly believe in a house culture. We're also not located in Brussels, so I think if we would have been a brewery located in Brussels, that we would start making lambic. But we're living in Ghent, so Ghent is a different village. We don't have this tradition of spontaneous fermentation. So we're creating our own tradition, actually. Basically, we had our house blend. We had a festival 2 or 3 years ago, DOK Brewing Festival. And we had like 30 attending breweries from all across the globe. And so basically all the wild beer producers, we asked to bring one bottle. And then basically very rudimentary, I propagated all those bottle dregs into one big yeast culture. And we first had a clean fermentation here on the tank, and we put it into barrels and we pitched it. I think it's a classical story. A lot of breweries do stuff like that. And the beer came out really phenomenally, actually. Well, it was Cantillon, it was Schneehülle, it was Nevel, it was Stanker, it was inside there, it was Verzet, it was Alvinne also. So yeah, we pitched it on the barrels. It came out beautifully, and now basically all the barrels are already empty. What did we do? Like the barrels which I liked the most, I took out some yeast slurry from the bottom and repitched it on like the second generation of barrels. So now we have way more, and then like within 6 months, well, because we already pitched it 6 months ago, we'll try the barrels again, and again the nicest barrels will be selected to recover yeast from it. And that's basically the big idea about the mixed fermentation stuff for us. And like within a year or 3, when the whole culture becomes a little bit stable, I want to put a student on it or somebody from the university to really to like reconstruct our culture and to see what's in there, and so we can always maintain the same house culture. But that's something for the future.
Yeah. Sorry, Linus, I don't know if we can get you back again there. If it's still bad.
Yeah, but we can try. Do you hear me now?
Much better. It's much better.
Yeah, it's better. Let's talk about our beers.
Let's talk about, because to be honest, I don't know that much. I know recently I started hearing or learning about that Lithuania had its own beer culture. You know, the whole farmhouse, and Lars Garshol and Simonas Gutautas from Dundulis was on as well, and we were talking about that. So that was kind of news to me. I don't know if anyone else was very aware that it's a very unique traditional culture up there.
It's a beautiful tradition over there.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you've brewed there with Lars, didn't you?
No, I brewed in Estonia and in Norway. I'm a huge fan of basically farmhouse culture in general. With we also brewed Captinis here. That's probably a style you brew commercially at Sakiškės. Well, I'm gonna let him talk. Otherwise,
Yeah, I know you did brew Captinis at one time, didn't you?
Actually, we did even several times. So the first Captinis beer was brewed with a Birrificio Italiano from the guys from northern part of Italy. They are like pioneers of craft beer in Italy. The idea was to do something traditional Lithuanian, but use something what they could bring from Italia. So they brought some varieties of hops which are growing in Italy, and we did a really nice baked ale. When we were baking wort, so actually we also put some hops in that like a cake. So it was a really nice result. Later, we decided to do the same thing, but with Dundulis, with the other Lithuanian brewery, and it was like a thing, like a history, because it was the first collaboration brew between two Lithuanian breweries. So it was also nice because we could bake the wort in two different places. So some of the wort we cooked in our pizza oven, which is next to our brewery in Sakiškės. And Dundulis, they brought some bread which from their brewery. So that beer was much more dark because we used a bigger percentage of baked malt. Yeah, and at the moment we have even the third, like a baked pilsner. We brewed it in our new location. But standardly we used decoction process, but we also part of the wort baked in our pizza oven. So it's like a double decoction Lithuanian style beer.
And do you feel that, knowing that you've got this unique culture, and from what I understand talking to Simonas and that, like, it's at risk of dying out in the countryside, do you feel that you kind of have a responsibility to try and bring that into everything you brew, or into a lot of what you brew?
Yeah, we are quite creative brewery. Maybe I could even say that maybe one of the most creative breweries in Lithuania. So we are doing also modern things and those historical brews. So I believe that we could also keep those traditions, not to let them die.
Yes, can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
Well, we brewed Captinis here once because we did like a tribute to Cornell Festival this year, because the Cornell Festival in Norway couldn't take place, so there was an online version, and basically we also had it here, so we smoked some malts like the Stjordalve, like they do in Norway, and we make some Captinis. But like before the lockdown happened, I traveled always in December. I traveled to a country with some kind of farmhouse tradition to like import that beer into Belgium to show Belgian customers what possibly could be. Would you be willing to brew like a authentic farmhouse traditional ale from Lithuania together?
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Let's keep in touch then.
Yeah, we can talk later after backstage.
Okay. Well, I think the front stage is also the backstage now.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Just got to see if anybody's watching this on Facebook. Just to see me 2 or 3 people on Facebook. But but Linus, excuse me. Like what you're saying about you're very innovative. The 2 beers you sent over were I tried the blackcurrant one the other night. Was it black? Yeah, it's blackcurrant, wasn't it? That was very nice. I don't know if you tried it. It's very, very dry.
Yeah, we used champagne yeast to get that super dry effect. Yeah, so this is the reason, mostly.
Right.
Yeah, so the idea to brew that beer was to have a beer which could be something very, very similar to red wine, and to use local berries. So for this reason, we used 25% of local berries. So it's 20% of blackcurrant berries and 5% of aronia. And I think we reached the result what we were catching up.
Yeah, no, it was very nice. I don't know if you tried it. The others have tried it yet, but or did you open the other one? Because the other one is what, agave.
No, we are still with Britney Spears.
We're moving.
I feel like you guys are drinking way too fast.
Yeah.
I'm also not such a fast drinker.
I didn't know we were allowed to open beer before. I was brewing this morning, like Saturday morning, and it's like really hot here in Poland. And I was thinking about opening some of the beers, but I said no. I'm gonna wait until we are together.
You're very disciplined. But I was going to ask something there. Yeah, what is the brewing scene in Lithuania now? Is it, how big is it, or what's the scene? Are all the new brewers, are they all IPAs, or is there this innovation, or what's happening there?
Actually, we are quite a small country, so definitely the craft beer scene in Lithuania is also small. So we started our business around 7 years ago, and we were maybe second after Dundelis brewery. At the moment, of course, we have maybe up to 10. So definitely it is something really differently compared with Poland. Yeah, but of course, some of new breweries are just like gypsy ones. So for them, it is easy to enter the market and to disappear if something wrong. But we have several breweries which are working constantly, and I hope that everything will be fine, even if that Corona pandemic mode was paralyzed our lives.
Yeah. And does it, is there enough interest there to keep the breweries going, or do you have to export?
If we are talking mostly about Sakiškės brewery, so we are focused on export. So we are exporting to Scandinavia, to UK, to Germany, So maybe a smaller part of our production stays here in Lithuania. But recently we have opened our pub in the new venue, where is our new brewery. So maybe we will sell our beer a bigger scale in our pub. But yeah, we are focused on export, and probably we are the only brewery which is mostly focused to the export.
Janis, is that like you've got the big pub there now? Was that where, say, pre-COVID, all your beer going out there, or have you had to reorganize everything because of COVID? Like, do you can and bottle and export more now, or?
Well, the thing with COVID is, like everybody, production dropped at first because, like before COVID, I think we did before the first lockdown, I think we did like 60 to 70% indoors. That was we were expanding outdoors, and then all of a sudden Corona came, and then we went back to 100% indoors. Well, what happened during the lockdown is that we switched to cans too. So every once in a while, we got a mobile canning line was coming in, and we see we have a lot of demand on the local market for our cans, so that's a big benefit for us during the lockdown. I think what I see, like with our cans and we also export some kegs too. Our kegs, the prices of our kegs weren't a big problem, but because we're a Belgian brewery, people don't want to pay too much for our beers outside of Belgium. It's a strange connotation with Belgian breweries. Like when it comes to Belgian breweries, outside of Belgium, they expect like decent but cheaper beers. But of course, if you throw in like €5,000 of hops in a tank, you can't ask the same amount of money as for a triple, for example. But nowadays we're doing more and more cans too. And I personally believe, like, we started in the brew pub, and then, our local market is our most important market. Like, we're a brewery from hand, so this is our pride, and this is our city. So we really want to be in our city, and like everything that's outside of hand, that's a really nice benefit.
Right.
Well, I see we work best in big cities. Like when you go to the rural country and you say what we do, like they look at us like, what are you talking about? Are you even talking about beer? So big cities are our thing.
Yeah, it sounds the same as the guys in Mostów area, all primarily in one city. Most of your sales are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have a more progressive crowd in the cities.
Yeah, I suppose so. But it's just that there's a big enough market in a city, whereas where you have some places. I was thinking like the artists we were talking to from Latvia, they have to export. They said 2 million people isn't enough for them.
No, I think we're lucky enough to have enough customers close to us, and we're also because of Belgian brewers tradition. Belgians also drink a lot of beer, so that's we have a good local market for it.
Right. And cans, like that was another thing. Belgium really doesn't do cans very much.
Well, a couple of years ago, Belgium wasn't ready at all for cans, and now when you talk to craft beer shops, they don't want to sell bottles anymore. Everybody wants cans. Of course, the what do you call it, regular consumer are still changing their minds about that a good beer can also be in a can. But it's already way better than a couple of years ago. And I think breweries like L'Hermitage, breweries like us, and a few other more in Belgium, like Brussels Beer Project, we're really 3 breweries who are fighting for quality beer in cans, and I think modern day consumers they really start to change the way of thinking about cans.
Yeah, I think that's the same. Talk to the guys and it changed in the last 3 years or something. It went from bottled and almost overnight, and it just no people cheer when they see it goes into cans.
Yeah, well, now it's the other way around. You can't get cans anymore because all breweries worldwide are buying cans, and all of a sudden the suppliers call you and they say like, yeah, we can't deliver cans anymore. So
It's also
we're making too much beers in cans nowadays.
It's also
2021 problems. Like cans shortage is real.
it's also a problem though, is it with if you're doing well fermentation, it's told that a lot of the canning companies just won't deal with you because they can't clean the lines afterwards.
We have our own canning line, but even how we have our own canning line, it seems to be a big problem with aluminium this year. Like the cans shortage is real. It is there are no cans out there. The company building up the cans cannot supply you with cans for your production. So it's been a big problem this year. Yeah.
And another interesting thing is that one of the biggest manufacturers of aluminum cans is a Polish company, and we get our cans through a Dutch distributor, and then all of a sudden we see a Polish label. It's like, oh, let's try to connect with them. So we did, and apparently they have so much to do. They don't even want to talk to little guys like us. Like, deal with your own distributors, and then when we have time, perhaps we can talk about dedicated manufacturing for yourselves. So yeah, like Ben said, I mean, there's a true problem with availability, and hopefully it's a short term. But I mean, if you don't stock up, I mean, it's a big problem.
Right. You're blending there, are you?
Yeah, I was blending there actually. Actually, when you blend these two guys, you get a beautiful beer. So when we were talking before about blending, you can even blend end beers. You can blend beer damn beers, and they're I think both were really good by themselves, But you made something new from. It's just nice. I know. Just try it yourself, guys.
I don't have the other one in front of me, so
we did it 50-50 here, but you can play with different proportions maybe. So
you're happy if you go to the pub and people leave bits behind and stuff, you'll just happily blend afterwards.
It's not like a blend in the damp bucket.
Brian, it's pretty funny that you say that. Sometimes, since we have these 30 taps here behind me, sometimes consumers, sometimes we make a little joke and we ask what they want, and we just blend glasses from the tap, and every time people are looking at us what the fuck are you doing? But there's nothing wrong with mixing one beer with another, as long as it's also experimenting. It can really work really well.
Yeah, I went to a pub and someone started throwing beers at me. Just I don't know. It's just in your mind that you buy a beer, I suppose, and that's it. But yeah. It's I'm gonna have a.
It's just something you can change, you can just think about blending two, especially these two kind of beers. You have something it's kind of acidic, a bit complex, and you have a fruit beer that was especially all black currant. It was a really good beer, but really one-dimensional into black currant. So then you blend these two, and you can make from two good beers or two really good beers. You can make another great beer. So you have
But going in what ones will possibly go together.
No, they were talking already about the collab, so I think they got it. They got it. Just make a blend of these two beers.
It was a shortcut.
So that's the new beer coming out from the 2E, or the 3, because you have to take credit for the idea.
Nah.
Brewed at Sakiškės by DOK, recipe by Brewer Stu Mostów.
No, but it's a pretty good one. Do you use a real black currant in this one, or you
could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry.
Do you use like a real fruit for this beer, or is it like a black currant puree?
This is fruit. We used berries.
Because the flavor, we have also like a black currant Brennerweisse, and the flavor is like completely different. I mean, like I think this is like much more complex than, and we use like black currant puree.
Maybe because we used Lithuanian blackcurrant.
But now we're getting into it.
They weren't imported from Poland.
Yeah, Lithuanian Poland.
Like Polish beers, like Belgian cherries.
You were sorry?
Yeah, well, you're laughing with Belgian cherries. Well, I talked with some Belgian brewers. Like, of course, we have Sakiškės Creek, which is like a species on its own. But like, I know some brewers who really wanted to start working with local Belgian cherries, and they tried that for a couple of years, and then they switched back to Polish cherries because Polish cherries had way more flavor. So I can guarantee that a lot of Belgian breweries work with Polish cherries. Definitely.
I know that
It's like one of the secrets of the beer industry. Like many of the Belgian breweries doing lambic, they are like working with Polish cherries.
yeah, actually, the Lithuanian beers also work in Belgium. I remember that when we were visiting beer cellar, so they also mentioned that they are purchasing Lithuanian, but maybe it's sometimes Polish, sometimes Lithuanian. Yeah, so yeah, so we are also in Belgian business.
So all the lambics are coming from, except for the yeast, is coming from somewhere else. So yeah, so I mean we've been on an hour now, so maybe I don't know. Do you want to try another beer, or is it too much?
Yeah, let's go for it. Why not?
Brian, you pick which one we drink next.
Oh God, I'll pick the blend. Come on, which ones are left, and we just blend them all together. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. We have what's left for me. Oh yeah, you have this the New England double IPA you have here. But we'll give that one a go.
All right.
You want to try it? You already opened it, didn't you, Yanis? I think you were drinking it, so we might as well go with that one.
Okay.
What's in it there?
Let's do it.
It's a pretty fresh one too. So
yeah, that was can.
So this is a can as well, isn't it?
This is actually can like 2 weeks ago. So it's like a 2 weeks all IPA. It's not bad for being in Ireland, in Belgium, in Lithuania. Is relatively fresh.
Yeah. Better watch over spill it off. So I want to ask actually one thing from probably more for Sakiškės and Mostów than for DOK, but where do you go with branding? Because I know you've got a lot of different brands now, and I was just wondering how things have changed. Where back 20 years ago, it would have been all each beer was basically its brand. You had your Guinness, your Heineken, your Carlsberg, and that was it. But now, because you're all brewing so frequently and with different things, the brewery is the brand as opposed to separated from the beers. Like how do you plan that out? Or I'm not really sure what my question is, to be honest with you.
No, I think we get it. No, I think it's like we have like different kind of. I don't know if we call it brands, I call it lines inside of the brewery, but we divide it basically in 4 different lines. So this will be like a Wrocław line is the classic beers, where we do like more like the classic like lager beers, like Hefeweizen, soups, all things like this that they are like more classic and more traditional. Then
Rogan beer.
Yeah. Then we move more to what it will be like a one-off, so like season, like whatever, call it as you want. Like it's more all this kind of like new beers we are brewing. Like it's like more like the new releases. So basically, we are releasing like 4 to 5 new beers every month. Like they are all in cans, and this is basically focused more in like IPAs, double IPAs, Berliner Weisses, pastry sours. So it's like everything, but it will be like more like modern or hype, or call it as you want. And then we move more to seasonals, but it will be like beers that we brew to be drink every day, but for a specific season of the year. So it can be something as a dark lager for winter, or it comes to a like gose with fruits in summer. So it's like more depending on the time of the year we are. And then we go with wild, what it is like the mixed fermentation beers. So this will be the, I don't know if I forgot something. For
collaborations.
Yeah, and then we go with the whole collaborations. Every time we do a collab, like this one, it's like it's called Art. It has one number, so that's like Art 44.
But since we sent this one out, we did 2 more collabs, so now we are on 46 actually. So yeah, but I mean it's a really good question, Brian, because I mean we've had many discussions internally how we should kind of clean up our portfolio. Because obviously some things work out very, very, very well. Others not so well. So we have to analyze sort of the data that we get from our customers, from sales team, and decide how we want to focus. Because as a small brewery, you have very limited resources. So we try to brew not only what we like. Because that's kind of how we started, but also what our customers expect us of what we provide to them. So it's we have to always balance and use our limited resources to focus on the best things that we can possibly do at our brewery.
And I suppose because not all of it seems to have your name as the main feature on it. So I'm just wondering, and I suppose it's the same for Linus, like how do people come looking for new beers from a brewery now and just keep, like, is there that pressure that you have to be producing new beers because people want it from a brewery and not that they just kind of like this 1 or 2 beers that they'll keep drinking, but they'll just keep...
Tussen dan en dan nog werken. Dus kan zo daarvoor van dat plan, dan kan dat plan. Was niet heel dag. I can't hear you guys anymore, but somebody say something. Yeah, okay, now I hear it. I think for us, from our perspective, when it comes to making new beers, we don't have a core range, so we only make new beers. But what we see, like the whole concept is actually based on the new market, on the market where people always want a new beer, and we can even see, like, if a beer is on our tap list during 6 months, all of a sudden sales just drop. They don't want to buy it anymore. And even so with regular customers, like those triple drinkers again, like, okay, they want a steady value, but I think our customers got like some kind of beer education that they're always looking for the new beer. It's really strange. I'm a little bit worried about it, that we're creating beer snobs too, because like the whole beer geek scene, I think worldwide, sometimes I think as a brewer it's also really ridiculous. Like what I really love to do as a brewer or as a beer drinker is just to buy a crate of a beer and just like have a drinking beer, like the beer you have at home, and people are coming and you can drink it from the bottle or whatever, just like you drink it, and you don't like sniff it 15 times to get the aroma. And it's also it's important to do that, and it's important to have degustation beers, but like just easy drinkable session beers are also so important. And like, yeah, beer snobism in the beer market is becoming a big thing, especially with all the raters and I'm a little bit worried about the future sometimes.
Yeah, someone said that before about Untapped being like the death beer thing, because everybody just wants to try a new beer and tick it off the list, and that's it, and move on.
Yeah, but sometimes it's ridiculous. People come in here and they ask for a beer, and then they look at the list and say, we already had everything, let's go somewhere else. Yeah,
that's ahead of Linus, though, because you're only opening your tap room, so you've got to face this now. But it must be an awful pressure. Like, I mean, just can you come up with a new beer every every couple of weeks?
Well, basically, it's every week we make a new beer. So, but that's what I really love to do. I love creating new recipes and new beers. Sometimes it feels a little bit like shitting recipes too, but like it's like pushing yourself to be being creative like 24/7, and like every human being has creative periods, and you can make like a lot of different recipes in one day if you have this creative day. But sometimes you're on the verge of like a writer's block, and of course then maybe we go for like a safe option. And like I look into a previous recipe and I just change some parameters, but no, that's even not true. We always make something completely new, but it's definitely very challenging. Sometimes I really regret our concepts, but I'm also very grateful for our concepts. Yeah.
Is there a difference there, I suppose, because you're near the bar, you can see whether the customers like it immediately, whereas Linus and Greg there, you don't know whether anyone's going to like it until it's out there and it's kind of been out for a couple of weeks, whereas you get kind of more immediate feedback.
Well, that's indeed completely right, and we have this our big tap room where we can see what happens, what works and what doesn't work. But then again, now we're working more and more on the cans, and with the cans we have to plan like 100 days in advance of what we're going to release. That's completely a change of our concept, because we were really close to the consumer, and we look at our stock and what was vanishing, we brewed in our recipe in the same style. But now, like with the canning, we have canning dates like every month, and it's a completely different, a way more complex way of creating beer for me personally, because when it comes to planning and like doing like some market research and to have like a glass ball to look into to see what's going to happen in a few months. Because you always want to have fresh beers, so beer that sells fast, but you also want to have unique beers, and it's a challenging. I'm really happy. Like it's now for 3 years, and the first 3 years we were just like a big playground, and we experimented in all different possible ways. And now we're becoming more and more structured breweries, but with a huge opening for creativity. So I think we're becoming more grown up, but playful as we are.
Because you started off as well as very small, and now you're kind of growing into this big, like I said, one of the bigger ones in Lithuania. Do you think that's going to change a lot of things? Having a brewery and a tap room, and the size of it. Do you think it's going to change what's happening there, or how you work?
Yeah, we are also focused to brew time to time new beers, and I don't know, maybe 3 years ago we were calculating how much we did, because there was like a motorcycle event, and people were going through the interesting places. So one of the places was our brewery. So simply they asked for those guys who are coming to our brewery just like to make a sign that they have visited our brewery. So we had to make a question, and they have to answer. So the question was how many different beers we did from the beginning. So. And in the moment of this year, so probably we did around 70 different beers from the beginning. So more or less it is one beer per month. So of course, customers are also waiting, asking what are the plans, what are you planning to do, brew. The same is with import people from other countries. When you are sending the available beer list, so always they are asking what are your plans in the future. Yeah, so I think those changes in the style. So it's interesting. People are looking for other beers, and it is like every time you are coming to the pub, and if you have something new, it's very good.
You have to have something different to bring them back.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to bother, but I got this appointment in 5 minutes, and they already came in, so I can stay here for another 5 minutes, but I have this time frame to.
Okay, maybe we'll be back here for an hour in the course nearly already, so maybe we'll
So it means we have 5 minutes to drink all the rest of beers.
well, yeah, everybody just start drinking.
Blend, huge blend.
It'll be the world's biggest collaboration. So tell me, actually, just while here, I don't know whether we'll drink it, but the one you had there with the agave. What inspired that one? Because, like, how did you pick those as ingredients?
Actually, the idea was in the winter to brew something because our sales dropped. So our plan was simply to brew some beers which might be, to keep for longer, which could be good for nature. So of course, any hoppy beers are not a friend in that moment. So we decided to do some bold beers. And one of them, Imperial Blonde Ale, which previously that style we didn't have in our assortment. And in terms of ingredients, agave syrup was added during fermentation to increase fruitiness. And mezcal was like the second step, like an extension of agave syrup. For more complex result, we had to use some smokiness. So we used soft fruit tree. Actually, we bought some cherry smoked malt from Poland factory, Viking malts. And of course, secondly, we used some American roasted oak chips to make it like a barrel thing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't tried it yet, and I don't think I'll open it now. So I'm going to keep that one till a bit later.
But it is really nice. Maybe one of my favorite at the moment. And in our pub, we do not have any other like a blonde ale. So if people are asking for something like a wheat beer, so I'm forwarding that beer. But they. In general, they are expecting something like a 5 ABV, and that one is 10 ABV, so not very summer beer.
So listen, I think because Jonas has to go, I think maybe we and I've got you here already for an hour and a quarter. Maybe we'll start finishing up, if that's okay with you, unless the rest of you have something dramatic to say. And maybe we can start looking towards some major collaboration blending here over the next. You can practice and see what comes out of this, and maybe we can end up with some major saison wild.
I suggest we definitely keep in touch, and like both breweries, I'm a big fan of both breweries, to be honest. So I would also like to invite both of you to the Brewing Festival of 2022.
Okay, so you're going to have to go now to take part. No, I was just saying that they have their official invitation now, so they'll have to take part, and maybe I'll try and make my way to Ghent as well, because I haven't been there in years. It's a really nice city. Okay, so look,
you go to Ghent to see the next Tour de Flanders, something like this. Whenever like a cycling season is going, I will be there. Like I will be going to see like the Spring Classic.
All right, listen.
Sorry, I was still muted. I said like a perfect 7 email. Everybody come to Flanders.
Like ride some bikes and.
Excellent. Excellent. Listen, guys, thanks a million. I'm going to do a little play-out video here because just showing you who we have next week. Because I have Blacks from Kinsale in Ireland, Brewer from Croatia, and I'm probably pronouncing that up completely wrong, and Hopala from Latvia. So it should be another interesting one. It's interesting just seeing the different brewers from different parts of Europe. It's been fascinating for me, so it's been great fun. And thanks a million for taking part. And yeah, hopefully you'll keep in touch and have some great brewing going on.
Bye.
Okay, thanks.